Hey, what's good, y'all? It's C. Will, and this is the Passive Income Network. On this channel, we talk about creating assets that produce passive income. On this episode, we have a special podcast feature with Austin of xBacked. Let me bring him on in.
G'day. Yo, good to be here.
Yeah, what's good, Austin? We finally get together to make this happen. Very exciting.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Glad to be here.
Yes. So let's set the scene. Again, thank you for hopping on the show. We have Austin of xBacked. xBacked is a DAO on Algorand that deals with stable coins, a decentralized stable coin on Algorand. Am I correct on that one?
That's it, yeah. And I do want to clarify, like it came up in a conversation recently, calling us a DAO right now is like, it's not incorrect, but it's not fair. Like the intention is to definitely decentralize far more than we are right now. But when DAOs first begin, there is a centralized team that takes those first steps to build that initial protocol. And then over time, we hand that over to the community. So we can talk a little bit about that later. But it was just because it was on my mind the other week. The really exciting thing is like building a decentralized stablecoin on Algorand. Like we started working on it last year, and we'll be in mainnet in a few short weeks, I think.
Nice. Okay. Well, a lot of people, I'll say this, a lot of people that do watch my channel, half of them are new to crypto, the other half is not. So when we're doing this talk, we're going to try to break everything down. So again, let's start with you. You're out in Australia, so shout out to everybody out there. I know Blockchain Week is happening as well. I'm correct?
Yeah, it is actually. Yeah, and there's a bunch of Algorand projects in Australia, so we'll be all catching up next week, which is super exciting.
Yeah, I know Kawana's out there, you out, the xBacked out there, Dale Forward, do NFTs out there. I just spoke with Elisa at Algo Post. Australia's popping. I'm gonna have to make my way. Who's Austin? Can you break down your position with xBacked and how and why did you get on Algorand?
Yeah, great question. So my background is predominantly in software development and product management. So I've worked at SaaS companies before and built like many different products and in different roles.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Software as a service. Yep.
Last year I was really, really excited about getting into crypto and Web3. I thought, the typical sort of SaaS playbook was going to change a lot because of what was happening. So I really wanted to be a part of this, I guess, movement, this culture and that sort of thing. So I left my full-time job in August to go full-time on building xBacked and start building a team up around it. So now we're a team of soon to be 8, currently 7.
Oh, nice.
Like for me,
so you're the founder?
It's an interesting thing with DAOs. Like there's like a core team. So I basically kicked it off. Yeah, a founding member is a good way to put it. At the moment, like I'm writing code, leading the team, and the new hire we've got coming on is going to be head of growth. And so she will be helping me a lot with like building out partnerships and that sort of thing for our launch. Yeah. So it's been a very, very exciting, 6-9 months now.
Because I've been hearing a lot of stuff about this here. Let's pivot right now. How does this affect the total value lock? Because this has been a big conversation. Like how could xBacked contribute to the TVL of the Algorand ecosystem? Because we've seen when you're looking at DeFi, Llama, and all these other sites that are watching that, and crypto TVL, total value locked, is like our metric. So how could xBacked, participate and help that grow, or can
definitely, yeah. So when we started building xBacked, right, there was not much DeFi on Algorand. Now that has changed a lot since August, right? You've got AlgoFi, you've got Algo Mint, you got like 4 dexes now. You've got a lot going on. You've got folks coming to mainnet. and Folks Finance is like a lending protocol.
Yep.
So the original sort of problem we set out to solve was great. People have a lot of algos, and they don't want to sell those algos to unlock that capital.
Yep.
So that at the core is what we want to do, is help unlock those algos so they can go to work, like in the form of our stablecoin xUSD, right? And what that might look like in the simplest way is, instead of selling your algos, you would open a vault on xBacked and get xUSD. And then you could take that xUSD to Folks Finance and supply it and earn an interest rate on their protocol, right? And then from there on Folks, you might go, you know what, I'm going to borrow more algo and deposit that into xBacked to get more xUSD to get more interest, right? Now, obviously, not financial advice, but that is a popular strategy that people employ.
We call that going long.
Yeah. So I think, and with that, like TVL starts to build, right? Which is super exciting. So that's one piece. And then like another big piece for Algorand, as you know, is the governance piece of Algorand, right?
Yes.
And so people lock up, I think it was 3 billion algos, or just $3 billion in algos.
I think it was 3 billion algos. I feel like, Either way, the number sounds crazy.
Yeah, billions of something. And so that's a big like chunk of algos that don't participate in DeFi. Now, xBacked isn't doing anything directly. So protocols like AlgoGuard, AlgoFi, there's another project called Hone, are all working on ways to unlock that governance TVL. And that's going to be huge for everyone on Algorand. It's going to be huge for xBacked, huge for the community. So super excited about that.
Oh, I'm hyped. Okay. So the process, then we take our algos. I'm kind of like walking us all through. We take our algos, we go to xBacked, we create a vault, which means we then have to mint xUSD tokens. Okay.
That's right.
Okay. Then that's how you create a vault. Let's talk about the xUSD, more about that. Like, so can you just break that down in a nice way and understanding?
Definitely. So xUSD is what is called an over-collateralized stablecoin, which means there is always more dollar value backing xUSD than there are xUSD in circulation. And so what that looks like for a user is, if you come to xBacked and deposit $100 worth of algo, or go BTC or go ETH, you can mint up to $90, but that's extremely risky because that could put you in what's called liquidation. So on the front end client that we're building, we limit it to 120% collateral ratio, which means you can mint up to 80 xUSD.
So what you're doing is providing a cushion a little bit so the user doesn't overextend themselves.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay. So I think protecting users is extremely important. And I also think equally for those that are more familiar with DeFi and want to do something more advanced or more risky, then they can, have the opportunity to do that on our protocol, right? And they might be a technical user, right? They might be a developer interacting with our smart contracts directly, not through the front end.
So break down the back end part again. So there's a way for like other like institutions, essentially, that what you're kind of saying?
No, so we have like a front end that communicates with the blockchain and communicates with the smart contracts we've deployed. But anyone can interact with those. So someone could decide, you know what, the xBacked team did a terrible job building their UI, so I'm actually going to build my own UI that suits me better and suits, a certain group of people better, and interact with the same smart contracts.
Oh, right? Okay. I get what you're saying. So it's like, because a thing that I've heard about some of the DeFi platforms, that they look like, I guess, too childish. So if you want, I guess, more grown money in, right, change the front end. So that way, when their interface looks more, I guess, more mature, right? And then they can still, but they'll be interacting with the same protocol.
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay,
that's right.
that sounds dope. So it's like a way you can embed into your own platforms then?
Exactly, yeah. So for developers who want to integrate, we have an SDK, a software development kit, where they can start building, bots, or start building, their own front ends, their own clients, or whatever they would like to do.
Oh, isn't open source amazing?
Oh, it's fantastic, yeah.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
like the world is going open source, and well, we're already here now. I just can't wait to blockchain take over everything and absorb everything. It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got vaults. We're minting debt. It reminds me sort of some platforms on ETH that kind of mint that way. Nice. Okay, so. What are some other things on the roadmap that we can expect? Like when's the launch? When is the testing over? How has the testing been going?
Yeah, so we launched our testnet at the start of February. So we've been in there for a month and a half now, and we're just about to kick off our audit next week, actually, which is going to be fantastic. And the reason it's sort of a little bit later is we wanted to wait for the AVM 1.1 upgrade. So Algorand has upgraded their
the Algorand virtual machine.
Yeah. So they've upgraded their underlying smart contracts, which allows smart contracts to call other smart contracts. And that's important because we have a feature that allows people to stake xUSD, right? So you've minted your xUSD, or maybe instead of minting xUSD, you've bought it off a DEX or something like that, right?
Yes.
And you can stake it in a smart contract. Now, this smart contract receives a share of the liquidation fees. So when there is a liquidation on the protocol takes a 1% fee. And then that is split between the DAO and between these xUSD stakers. Now, on top of that, people staking xUSD, that xUSD can also be used in liquidations, right? So usually it's developers building bots and running liquidations, right?
Yeah, that's how AlgoFi looks, I think.
Exactly, yeah. So what we're doing is we're saying, hey, come stake your xUSD, and a developer is going to build a bot that uses your xUSD in liquidations, right? So it means developers don't need a heap of capital because there'll be a bunch of people staking. And it also means you don't need technical expertise to get access to liquidations. And liquidations, right, are really cool because you get discounted collateral, right, for keeping the protocol healthy. So you might pay 50 xUSD and get $52 worth of algo back, is how we like to think about it.
Oh, that sounds nice. Okay. Yeah. You kind of touched on that. Let's go into what is xBacked's revenue model then? Because I'm always wondering, how is this platform making money beyond, venture capital, or if that's what y'all have?
Yeah, definitely. So it's really, really important for us when we were sort of designing this protocol that there's a reason people would want to work on it, right? Eventually, when we are more decentralized and our governance token launches and we have people in the community governing the platform, it's important, it's worthwhile governing, right? It's important there's incentives there so that people holding the governance tokens are like, yeah, cool, we need to make this successful. And part of that is making sure the protocol has a self-sustaining revenue model, basically.
Yes.
And so for us, when you open a vault, you're charged an ongoing stability fee it's going to begin at 2%. And so that's not only a revenue generating thing for the protocol, it's also a piece of the puzzle of keeping xUSD stable, right? So originally we did not have this included. It's a recent change we've made. Because we realized it would be great to have another lever to control sort of the supply and the demand for xUSD, right? And then the other lever we have is called redemption, okay? And so when xUSD drops below $1, you can actually come and redeem xUSD. And you can redeem one xUSD token for $1 of underlying collateral, right? So if xUSD is worth 98 cents, you can come along, redeem it, and you would get $1 worth of algo.
That is nice. So, yeah, because it kind of got my mind thinking about how, like, when you're swapping stable coins, there's always some type of like slippage, or you don't get one for one essentially. And then in this model, it'll be more beneficial for the users once the prices are changing in that aspect.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so with that, there's a 2% fee that the protocol takes as well. And then as we touched on liquidations, there's a 1% protocol fee. And then there's like some other things we've got built in, mostly for developers. So xBacked being a decentralized protocol, and coming back to incentives, we need to make sure it's like appealing for many people to help maintain a healthy network. And so with that redemption feature, right, the way it works is when you redeem against the riskiest vault in xBacked. And the way we determine the riskiest vault is anyone can say, hey, this vault here is riskier than the current one that you've got listed, right? And if that's true, then we replace it and go, yeah, you're right, actually, thank you. And for doing that, the person who is proposing this new redeemable vault gets 0.1% of the collateral of that vault.
Oh,
right?
so they
so
get some money out of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
and that's like, exactly. And it's coming back to that incentive design and sort of thinking about how to decentralize our protocol further. And then there's another piece, right? So the fees for redemptions and liquidations, right? They're in the form of collateral, right? So that's in the form of algo, go BTC, whatever it might be. Now, to distribute those fees to the DAO and to the xUSD stakers, right? It's a similar thing. Anyone can come along and click the button that says distribute the fees, all right, or collect fees. And the person who does that gets 0.5% of the accrued fees.
Okay, that makes sense. So I've seen that again on other blockchains when they're doing vaults and things of that nature in DeFi. You get a bounty for helping the system. Yes, that makes sense. Oh, yeah. Oh, so so y'all sounds like this is going to be an exciting project. Like,
I'm very excited
something
about
different. Yeah, that I haven't seen in the ecosystem. Okay. So incentives again, Yieldly, AlgoFi, the sites that have the most TVL on it seems to have some type of incentive. Was it the anus, or I can't say the word?
I call it anus. I think that's how it's pronounced. I'm not sure. It's hard.
Yeah. But do y'all have anything like that going to, like, the boost the initial launch of y'all operation protocol?
Yeah, definitely. So we're talking to the Algorand Foundation about organizing that and the best timing for that and that sort of thing, and the best way of xBacked to apply those incentives. So yeah, we're definitely speaking to them, and you can expect us launching a similar program to the other protocols in the program.
That's definitely the way to go right now. So DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations. Can you explain it and break it down one more time for myself in the audience, because everyone's using them differently. I just had Bilal with Fame, the community. Was it the first ESG movement on Algorand? But they have he calls it more of a constitution, because again, like what you said, initially DAOs are centralized. They are controlled by the people who created them, and then over time, we're trying to release the control. And will this be in a form of governance, right? As you said, and how can you break that down? Like, how would things be proposed? Like, how would this work potentially?
Yeah, definitely. And to touch on that, there is many different types of DAOs. There's DAOs that specifically for investment, and it's more of like a syndicate of investors that have pooled money that are investing via this vehicle.
Investment DAOs,
But yeah, like a DAO like xBacked is all about governing this decentralized protocol, right? And so, as you said, we begin as like the core team, the founding team, and then over time, as the community grows and as the product, especially for a stablecoin, stabilizes, right? Governance tokens get distributed to the community. So for our governance tokens, over 50% is like allocated basically to growth and community, right? And that's through incentive programs and all sorts of things, right? So it's like fairly loose at the moment what that looks like, because it's crypto and who knows, like it can all change tomorrow, right?
yeah, guaranteed. Like one announcement, pivot.
Yeah. But the important thing is that over time, like the emissions for that to the community go to engaged members in the protocol and in the community, because they're the people that will be, having a large say in the decisions about, in the future, what collateral types should xBacked accept outside of Algo, Go BTC, Go ETH, right? That's one example. But DAOs, right, like the proposals people can make can range from all sorts. They might sort of go like, who should be on the multi-sig for the DAO? Should that change from the core team to other community members and that sort of thing? Someone might propose a vote, right? And some DAOs, like even it comes down to compensation for developers and contributors on the protocol, and that comes down to a community vote. So it's a really, really interesting organizational structure. And I think it's a long journey, right, to get to that decentralized state. I think the best examples of this are probably Synthetics and Maker DAO. So both of them have been around for like 5 years now. So they launched around 2017, 2018. And over time, they've been on that journey of like, great, we've got the core team. Now we're going to decentralize. And they've come up with, like, I think a fairly effective structure, because a big thing, right? Like if you think about it, if everyone that owned a share of Tesla got to dictate the day-to-day and all the nitty-gritty stuff, it would be super, super painful, right?
Oh, yes, guaranteed. Yeah, because not everyone's educated the same way either and has that understanding of how to do it. Yeah.
Exactly. So one way to get not around that, but one way to solve that problem is called delegation. And so you might hold xBacked governance tokens, but you might be like, look, I'm not going to keep up with this. I'm working on 10 different projects. I'm just going to delegate my votes to this person who is far more involved in the project and can make an informed decision.
Yeah, it's like validators delegating their validators, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there's delegation, and then there's also different models. Like Synthetics has they call it the Spartan Council.
Council?
Yeah. Okay. And the community votes in this Spartan Council, right? I think it's done quarterly or annually, right? So it's community driven. But then this Spartan Council, they have decision-making power that they don't need to do a governance proposal for, right?
So it's like you voted a board, basically, of directors.
Yeah, exactly. So they have some autonomy in some decisions, but then in others, it's still community-driven. And
so I seen with Bilal, like what their structure, they had a part of it about submitting votes, or like you said, changing fees for the president or whatever those position is, where you have to use or gather the community together and get fame tokens together to purchase that. Are y'all doing anything in that nature, or can anyone submit that has governance token?
Yeah, it's a really, really good question. So for proposing governance proposals and that sort of thing, we might put a limit. Like you might have to have a certain amount of the xBacked governance token to propose. And you might have had to be holding or staking that for a while, right? To prove,
that would be a great idea.
Yeah, because otherwise, a classic example from Ethereum is someone gets a flash loan and they borrow a heap of governance tokens, make the proposal, and then return them. It could be a malicious proposal and that sort of thing. So I think that makes sense. But when it comes to voting, I think if you have a token, you should be able to vote on a proposal. I think that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Why not Ethereum? Why Algorand?
Oh yeah, well, man, gas fee is just ridiculous, man. It'll cost you more in gas to buy an NFT than the actual like cost of the NFT or whatever. Like it's crazy. So it'll be that's like one reason, and I also think there's a lot of value to bring to the community on Algorand. And that for me was actually a big piece of the decision. It was like, cool, this is
more
like,
room to grow, right?
Yeah, and there's like a really great group of people and great technology, and just no one was really building on it at the time. That's obviously changed. That's changed super quickly. So yeah, I think Algorand is going to go through a really, really exciting growth period. And I think xBacked is going to bring a lot of value to the community with our products and our DAO and our governance and that sort of thing. So yeah.
Okay. How'd y'all get that name though? xBacked. I like the name.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
This came up in an AMA we did actually last week. They were like, "Where did xBacked come from?" Okay. And the way like I was brainstorming. So originally, when I was introduced to Algorand, it was through Meld Ventures. So they're actually Aussie based. So I was talking to them, and we were like sort of brainstorming. And with the name, right, each xUSD is backed by $1, at least $1 in collateral, right? Yeah, and so then we just like put an X in front of it, and it's like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. So it's nothing crazy. We didn't want to do, Algo coin, Algo xUSD.
Yeah, I'm happy y'all didn't.
So
your own brand and everything.
Exactly. So yeah, that's the story behind the name.
Dope. Nice. Okay. Well, I appreciate you. We're gonna start to close out. Okay. I do want to say thank you once again for tapping in with the Passive Income Network. Y'all can watch this video on Spotify, listen on Spotify in about 2 weeks after it premieres on YouTube. And I'll be posting clips. Before we go, can you give any advice or show some love to the future developers that's going to be joining you on the building on Algorand this next 6 months? What give them some advice of, how they could be building to,
I have a single piece of advice, and that is use Reach. Reach.sh. Really, really, really good developer experience, and it'll help you build smart contracts in a far more secure way than if you were learning PyTeal and Teal on Algorand, right? Reach does formal verification on compile, and they also let you compile to other blockchains, right? So the code we've written for Algorand can also be compiled and deployed on Ethereum.
So that's big. That's real big.
Yeah. So I think if you're looking at even like Web3 development in general, I think Reach.sh is a fantastic tool to look into, specifically on Algorand, because I think the Teal smart contract language can have quite a steep learning curve, and it can be quite easy for you to make mistakes. So yeah. So that means y'all building with Reach. So I know Humble Swap is building with Reach, and that's right. There's a few other, and I keep hearing good things about Reach though. Interesting. That's good to know. I put that down in my notes too. Well, thank you, Austin. Again, appreciate you. After y'all launch, get some more traction, definitely would love to have you back on, update the community, what's been happening with yourself and xBacked. Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for having me. It was great to talk. Yes, for sure. All right, so I'm going to pull you out, and then we'll chop it up again right before we close out. I'm going to say goodbye to the audience. Hey, y'all. So that was Austin of xBacked laying that fire down, letting y'all know what's happening and where y'all can find them. xBacked on Twitter. Oh, didn't he? Yeah. So let me get the outro going, and then see y'all on the next one. Income, passive income, gold in my dental, thank God for my mental. Investor fundamentals, told my girl it was simple. We getting all this money to purchase rentals and get passive income. Gold in my dental, thank God for my mental. Investor fundamentals, told my girl it was simple. We getting all this money to purchase rentals and get